The Nigerian aviation industry is currently facing existential threat triggered by an acute scarcity of foreign exchange. Aviation fuel, that's a Jet A1 price, has shot through the roof, rising from merely 200 naira per litre about a year ago to close to 900 naira a litre at present, underpinned by the worsening scarcity of the product in Nigeria.
To this lingering crisis can also be linked to a foreign exchange shortage that has led to the worrisome depletion of the country's external reserves, continuing the weakening of the naira vis-a-vis the dollar, as well as the inability of many multinationals, including many airlines, to repatriate their business proceeds and dividends.
I mean, we had this conversation not too long ago, I think it was last week, when Emirates had announced that starting from the 1st of September, they would be shutting down operations to Nigeria because they were unable to repatriate their funds. And we talked about the fact that not just Nigeria, of course, there are many countries on the continent that are owing a lot of these foreign airlines, but Nigeria was owing a huge sum, and it no longer was feasible for them to be able to do business in this regard. One of the things that every country must prioritize is the ability for foreigners and foreign businesses to be able to, basically rank high on the, being as a country, being able to rank high on the ease of doing business index, and allowing foreigners to be able to repatriate their funds, because the moment they're not able to do that, they'll go back to their country, and we're losing foreign exchange.
I think it's also very, or it shows really about the level of trust that these multinational businesses have in the Nigerian government, because it cannot be the only country that you would struggle with repatriating your funds. A lot of other countries, there are many other countries that you wouldn't even be able to take your funds in foreign currency. You would have to deal with the local currency. And so this is a special request that they have, that they want to take back their money in US dollars and the likes, that the Nigerian government is struggling to deal with. But if there was some level of faith and trust in the Nigerian government and the Nigerian economy, so I believe that these things would be easily sorted. You may have a different plan on repatriating funds, a different time frame on repatriating funds, that works for these businesses. It might also be a good time to look at the value that the Nigerian travel route gives to these businesses. What's the percentage of customers that they get from Nigeria? How much money are they making from Nigeria? That will make them have a rethink of still doing business here. We're the giant of Africa. So
let's even delve further into this conversation with someone who's in the industry as well. Joining us this morning on Breakfast Cenral, we're welcoming an aviation expert, publisher, CEO of Aviators Africa, Toni Ukachukwu. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
And now we've been talking about this for weeks and months now. Give us a clear picture. What is the actual situation bedeviling the aviation sector and business in Nigeria?
So aviation is a unique industry where if there is one problem in the value chain, it cascades and affect the whole spectrum of the sector. So basically, the issues have now become hydra-headed, from forex to trapped fund to fuel scarcity and some other issues with policy. So basically, this has now become a big issue, affecting domestic airlines and also affecting international airlines, with some of them threatening to stop operations into Nigeria. So basically, that is the picture. But it's all boils down to, in my opinion, leadership at every level, for people to take responsibility and take ownership of the situation and look for ways, innovative ways, I might add, to fix these problems.
Well, it's not looking like the very best times. Available records also show that locked funds belonging to these airlines have hit about 600 million. The Nigerian government also made mention, of paying about almost $300 million back. Is there any hope in sight? Are these things that maybe they can come to an agreement on, a different payment plan, for these airlines? Or, are we going to continue having these issues?
Again, this is not the first time we're having issues. This kind of issues, we've had them in the past. So these things keep occurring or reoccurring, and you begin to ask why. Anyways, of course, there has been a reprieve with the central bank losing about $262 million. And with that, international airlines have kind of been able to repatriate some of their funds. So it's kind of reprieve, and some of them have say they are going to come back. For example, Emirates that stopped operation is going to start operation, even though it's going to scale down its schedule, to a very minimal level. I guess they are looking at how proactive the government will be for them to now bring back their full-scale operations. And of course, there are other international airlines. But with what we've seen, because with the trap funds, international airlines stopped selling their particular level of tickets and started selling premium, which skyrocketed the fare. But now they begin to open their inventory and begin to scale down the fare. So it's a reprieve. Things are coming back, but again, we are looking at a long-term solution, not just a quick fix or a stopgap. But in the meantime, I think the international airlines are seeing that CBN or Nigerian government responding, and equally they are also reciprocating as well.
Let's talk about, excuse me, let's talk about local tourism. And we can all see how this has affected local tourism. The flights within Nigeria are really high. And we don't know, is there going to be an end in sight to this? Will this be sorted anytime soon?
Okay, so basically, it's for the domestic airlines, it comes down to fuel. We import fuel, and so that is a big challenge. If we're refining crude locally, then we'll have a challenge with fueling. But when you see that before now, fuel was around 250 naira per litre, and has jumped close to 1,000 naira per litre in the space of just few months, then the operators are struggling to stay afloat. So that is the bane of the Nigerian domestic sector as we speak. So, but I think the people in leadership can actually come to a roundtable to look at how they can mitigate these challenges in the short term, because the long term will be look at how we can refine locally. That in turn will reduce drastically the price of fuel, and that will also reduce the price of flight, because basically whatever an airline operator incurs, whether in taxes, in fuel, or in operation, they kind of pass it down to the end user, who is the passenger. So that's why we've seen prices skyrocket and people can't use air anymore. But again, the number of people that are flying by air are the people that can't afford to go by road because road is not safe. And the operators are at the point where they can't outprice themselves in the market, where they will not be flying empty planes. So it's a dire situation. I'm hoping that this can be resolved as soon as possible.
All right. You have an Aviation Awards event for the African continent. Amidst all of this crisis, can you shed a little light on what this awards is about?
So basically, we are hosting the fourth Aviators Africa Conference and Awards in Johannesburg, South Africa, from the 20th to the 22nd of October. Basically, what we found out from our own point of view is that we decided to create a platform where we can narrow in on leadership and sustainability in the aviation industry. We found that in Africa across board, leadership has been a problem. That's why African aviation has been struggling, to move from one point to another. You see airlines come and go. You see issues all across Africa, national carriers, private carriers, all having issues from policymakers to private sector. So we are saying that it's everything rises and falls on leadership. And again, how can we begin to look at sustainability? So basically, the conference is looking at African aviation, sustainability in African aviation, which is the theme of the conference. So it's going to see gathering of aircraft manufacturers, airline operators, people from the academia and researchers, and of course stakeholders come together to discuss issues that can look at ESG, environment, sustainability, and governance in aviation.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I mean, it's shining a light in what seems like a dark tunnel. We do hope that there is some relief in the aviation sector. Thank you for your time this morning, Mr. Ukachukwu.
It's my pleasure to always do it.